All right, guys. So today's video, we're going to talk a little bit about pull downs and specifically how to keep your biceps out of it. And really where this stems from is I had basically someone ask a couple different questions about my hand position and how that will affect biceps. So I'll address that. And then I'm also going to nerd out a little bit today. So if you're in the mood for some nerd stuff, stay tuned till the end. If you're not, then just keep scrolling along. But so the question that I've actually had a couple people ask me is when doing pull downs. I've done a couple videos. Our last pull workout that I posted, one of the first movements we do is a single arm pull down. And when I'm doing the pull down, a lot of people will see me in either what I'd consider a neutral, most of the time slightly supinated or fully supinated position. And the concern was saying, oh, when you do a supinated grip, doesn't that involve the biceps more? And the reality is no. Really, my grip is just in a position that allows my upper arm to go where it wants to go. And so again, if you haven't watched my pull workout, I get into a little bit more detail, but really when I'm doing a pull down, I want to be in this plane of motion. So I want my upper arm basically moving comfortably right in at my side. And so the grip that you'll find, and mess around with this a little bit on your own, mess around with different handles and you'll figure it out too, is the grip will to some degree dictate where your upper arm can go. So if you took a fully pronated grip, so if you see me trying to go fully pronated with my arm at my side, I can't. That's as far as my hand pronates. So if I wanted to get on a fully pronated like a straight bar, this is what I'd have to do. So again, as I keep turning, can't do it. To get it fully pronated, my elbow flares. So again, if my pull down was more like this, again, not that that's a bad pull down, but for me specifically and for a lot of people, it's not as easy to keep lat focused. So most of the time, this hand position just allows my upper arm to go where I want it to go, again, to accomplish the goal of biasing mainly lat. So you'll see the best hand position for that, in my opinion, is anywhere from supinated, slightly supinated, or neutral is a really good spot. So if you really want to keep your biceps out of a pull down, you really need to be more concerned about basically where the line of force is from the machine relative to your elbow joint. So I'll show you kind of what that looks like in practice, and then I'm going to nerd out and I'm going to break it down a little bit for anybody that has some more interest and see if people like this stuff. So doing a pull down, a lot of people have seen this, but basically what you want to do, and again, the little gauge, and I'll go into this in more detail, is you want to keep the basically arm of the machine, or if you were doing a pull down with the cable, it'd be the same thing with the cable, right in line with your forearm. So for most people, a pull down somewhat like this, again, where the arm of the machine and your forearm are pretty much or pretty darn close to straight in line, is going to be a great way to keep your biceps out of it, and most of the stuff around your shoulder joint doing most of the work, hopefully lats, maybe a little bit of rotator cuff muscles, rear delts is even fine. So what you want to avoid is when it's getting a little bit more bicep-y, is this type of thing. So again, where you have, again, if you're looking at the arm of the machine, the lever of the machine, or if it was the cable, hopefully you can clearly see how those two things do not line up. And again, even more so than where your forearm is and the arm of the machine is, we're going to look at why that's important relative to your elbow joint. So again, just one more time, this is kind of what we're looking for. Forearm staying right in line with the arm of the machine. And what we're trying to avoid is when you can see that, again, that forearm and that arm of the machine, or if it was a cable, are not making a straight line. So again, if you guys haven't watched it, I have on my channel here a video called like Torque, Moment, Arms, and Force. And I say if you want to understand a little bit more about muscle building, understand that muscles manage torque around joints. It's not just about weight, it's about weight and moment arms. It's literally the equation that makes up torque. And so again, that sounds mildly complicated. It's really not. I suggest you take a look at that video. Check it out if you want a little bit of a deeper understanding, because some of this might not make a whole lot of sense. But again, it's really not that complicated, and hopefully you'll see from this video. So what I'm going to draw on here, you guys can see this. I've hired the team from Lucasfilms and from Pixar to help me come and get this graphic put together, so you can see this cost me like 600 grand, so hopefully it's well worth it. But all jokes aside, it's easiest for me to draw mechanics and lines of force and all that kind of stuff just like this instead of doing graphics, because again, honestly, most of the time I mess around with graphics, it's more complicated to have something less accurate. So bear with my sweet ass drawings, but again, hopefully it'll accomplish the job. So what we're going to look at here is, again, just imagine, hopefully you can see this as a person sitting down in the machine. They're doing it properly, so they're smiling, yay. So this would be obviously the seat of the machine, the thigh pad, and so we can see the upper arm right in line. Imagine this is the cable or the arm of the machine that I was just using. So the line of force basically from this machine going in this direction, you can see if I draw straight through, basically is right in line with the forearm, right in line through the elbow joint. So again, if you can see this straight line, it's right through the elbow joint. So again, what determines torque? The amount of torque, which is really the amount of demands of muscles around that joint, is going to be load times moment arm. So moment arm is going to be the distance from that line of force to the joint. So literally, if you're doing an equation, it doesn't matter if I've got 400 pounds here pulling up, 400 pounds times 0 is, relatively speaking, 0 torque. Now, I always put a little asterisk here as far as any muscle that crosses over that joint still has to work to just keep the joint together. So I'm not saying technically your biceps or elbow flexors are doing absolutely nothing, but as far as elbow flexion is concerned, they're doing very little. Basically, at this point in time, they're just helping hold the elbow joint together. So this is why this is what you want. This line of force is right through the elbow joint, and at the same time, if I draw the moment arm, let's do it with purple, it's a different color, but if I draw the moment arm here, it's somewhere around here to the shoulder joint. So again, why am I drawing that? Because if there's a long moment arm to the shoulder joint and a short and almost none to the elbow joint, that means there's a lot of torque at the shoulder joint and the muscles around it that manage that joint, hopefully in this case lats, and 0 at the elbow. So let's draw the other circumstance of like what it would look like with my demonstrated wrong version of the lift. Let's see if I can manage the drawing here. So we've got the same thing, arm kind of coming down here towards the finish. We've got a little bit more of a bicep-y finish right here. And we draw that machine as I was using it like so. So here's the handle, same handle, pulling up that direction. So what do we have this time? Again, we draw the line of force, which again, this time is going to be right in line with the machine, going this way. And we draw those moment arms again. What do we have now? So we have large moment arms to the elbow and smaller to the shoulder. So what does that mean now? Now we have the same weight in the hand, so let's say it's still 400 pounds, and we have this large moment arm to the elbow. Now we know that we're creating a lot of demands from those elbow flexors. So now there's a lot of torque. And in turn, why it's also not a great thing to do is you're making your biceps work more. And because there's a shorter moment arm to the same load of the shoulder joint, you're making everything around your shoulder joint work less. So in this case, you're probably going to have less lat involvement and much more bicep involvement. And again, a lot of people probably wouldn't quite finish this dramatically, but hopefully you guys can get basically somewhere in between those two is what's technically going to happen. And I forgot the most important part. He's doing it wrong now, so he's sad, and there's a single tear. Anyway, so all jokes aside, that's not a joke though. Having bad form is bad, it'll make you sad. Hopefully that kind of stuff helps. This is, again, just a little tiny brief tip of the iceberg of some of the stuff that goes into mechanics. I just wanted to address one relatively simple thing, hopefully give you a little bit of a view of what it looks like on the machine, and then what's actually happening from a mechanics standpoint. And again, the whole goal of all this, hopefully, is to make it accurate, so I'm telling you the right things, but also understandable and have just a little bit of a better idea of what's going on in your body. So as always, if you got feedback on this video, any kind, I want it all, comments below. If you enjoyed this, if you liked it, give me a little thumbs up. Give me the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed. And if you want more of these, let me know. Because if like 12 of you watch this video and 11 of you give me thumbs down, this will be the last one. But if you like this kind of stuff, I will start to include a little bit more of this stuff in my content on the channel moving forward.